Hey, everyone. Welcome to Locked On Lakers for Wednesday. Brian Kamenetsky, Andy Kamenetsky, the NBA GMs have spoken, and they've picked the Lakers to finish third in the West. Fair or unfair? We'll tell you next.
You are Locked On Lakers, your daily Los Angeles Lakers podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Thanks to everyone for making Locked On Lakers your first listen of every day, Monday through Friday, no matter how or where you get your podcasts. Always free, never behind a paywall. Locked On Lakers on YouTube is where you can go to hang out with 21,000 plus subscribers to the channel. Everyone getting ready for the regular season to begin. Want to let you know that today's episode is brought to you by Jace Medical. Empower yourself when you purchase a Jace case, providing you with a personal supply of 5 antibiotics that treat more than 50 infections. Get yours today at jacemedical.com. That's JASE medical.com. Appreciating all the questions and comments and participation. Today was, Tuesday was a massive day on the YouTube page for participation. Tons of comments, lots of great conversations between the people on the page, leaving questions for us, which is great, but also really talking to each other, which is what we really like to see as well. So thanks to everybody for participating there. The annual NBA GM survey dropped on Tuesday, so a lot to discuss from that. Andy was at practice on Tuesday, so we got a couple interesting nuggets from there. But let's start here, Andy, because we were talking on after Monday's game about the fact the Lakers took 55 three-pointers. 55. They made 20 of them. Not bad. 55 three-pointers, which is just a staggering amount.
I mean, the first half of the game, they made 44% of their threes. And, that was with basically the guys that you expect to be in the rotation.
Yeah.
With the guys who you are picturing being the main core players, they've so far been hitting from outside pretty well, including Anthony Davis.
Yeah, and AD was 1 for 3 on Monday and 2 for 3 in the opener on Saturday. And one of the things that we've talked about, it's like one thing, you expect and want high volume out of D'Angelo Russell, who has just been lights out from 3. You expect, 4 or 5, maybe, 6 threes a game from Austin Reeves this year. LeBron, as we talked about, is going to take 6 or 7. He has not been under 6, I think, in a few seasons, as we mentioned on Tuesday's show. So, guys are going to be bombing from 3. But as we have discussed, at least based on the last couple seasons, one of the people that I at least was like, I don't need to see tons of this was Anthony Davis. But Darvin disagrees.
Yeah, this was something that I found interesting during today's practice. We were talking about Anthony Davis and just the outside touch that he's shown so far, and he was asked if he wanted to see AD do more of that on a regular basis, and the answer is not only yes, but he wants it to be even more regular, even more frequently. Quote, I want him, if he can, I know he won't do it, but maybe he'll shock me. But I've requested to see 6 three-point attempts a game, 3 per half at least. I wouldn't put that on him if I didn't think he was capable. To put this in perspective, Brian, forget the idea of whether or not you think this is a good idea in and of itself.
Not totally forget that. I do have a thought.
Let's just put this to the side for a second, whether or not,
fair.
Thumbs up, thumbs down, just on this conceptually. To put in perspective just what type of an increase Darvin is looking for from AD, I want you to guess on AD's career, what do you think is the highest amount of threes per game per 36 minutes he's ever averaged in a season? Per 36 minutes.
I'll say, I think he had a season where he averaged around 3.8, 3.7 or something like that.
Nicely done.
Well, no, I was going to say per game, but he plays so many minutes that per 36, it's
right,
probably
stop talking. You had
so
it.
I would say about 3.7, 3.8.
Yeah, stop talking. You had it perfectly. My advice for you always, stop talking. 3.7 in
Haven't taken it yet? Don't plan on starting.
Nope, you certainly don't. 3.7 threes per game in the 2020 championship season. That is by far the most per 36 minutes for his career. AD averages a robust 1.6 threes per game. And as a Laker, he's been channeling his inner Steph. He's averaged 2.5 per 36 minutes.
But it's gone down. The last couple seasons have gone precipitously down from that high water mark in the championship season, as has his percentage, by the way. If he's up around 33, 34, 35, it is a legitimate weapon that can be useful. But what I don't need to see is him straining to take 4 or 5 or 6 or 3 or 4 or 2 a game because of the concept of Anthony Davis being a three-point shooter. There are so many other ways for him to stretch the floor. And with all the other guys around him, Andy, there should be a lot of space for him to operate even without having to step all the way to the three-point line.
The threes that he's taken so far in the preseason, I have liked because they have felt very much in the flow of the offense. They've been catch and shoot, really quick reaction threes from AD. The form has looked good. He hasn't had any hesitation. He's looked really confident. I agree with you. I don't want the offense in any way inverted or manipulated or doing something where you are trying to make Anthony Davis take threes in order to have the offense function or, to create space for LeBron. As much as we've talked about, you want the floor spaced for LeBron, not the other way around. You don't want to take that edict so far that AD, unless this is just really working, like this is the breakthrough year that thus far has never really come close to happening. But let's just say it is. If this is the one, AD is entering the prime of his career. Jason Kidd went from the guy who was acing to becoming a legitimate outside threat. So you never know. If Darvin wants AD taken 6 per game, how many does that make LeBron take? 11, 12?
55 is going to look like child's play.
I mean, if AD is taking 6.
I mean, look, do I really think Darvin really wants Anthony Davis taking 6 a game? I do not.
Well, look, he's already said is probably not going to happen. He just what he did is he just called AD gutless.
That's right. What I do think he's doing is teeing up that freedom and confidence to be like, we believe that you can do anything on the floor. If you're, you step into a 3, because he's going to get open looks out there, trailing on plays and on the whatever it might be, he's going to have the opportunity. Take that shot. Be confident, whether it's from 23 feet, 19 feet, 17 feet, 15 feet. All of these different shots around the floor are things we believe you can take because you, Anthony Davis, are an offensive machine that is capable of anything. Go own that shot. Go own that other one over there. Go own the one under the bucket. Put the ball on the floor. I think that's really at the core of what Darvin's doing here. I hope. If nothing else, AD becoming credible enough both as a three-point shooter, but also credible enough as somebody that you believe will put up the shot. Mm-hmm. If nothing else, that can open up the ability for him to put the ball on the floor in space where he's very good at doing that. It could open up more driving lanes for him, Absolutely. More driving opportunities. But I'm just thinking about this. If Darvin is really laying down the gauntlet and this setting sort of the foundation for what lies ahead for this team, it is apparently going to be a really high octane scoring machine. It's a lot.
Or a mess.
It's a lot. Maybe though, Andy, just the fact that they don't need him to hit a lot of threes will make it easier for him to hit a lot of threes. It's possible. Let's talk Christian Wood. Darvin had some very interesting comments. You asked him a question about what exactly it is that he needs to do, particularly defensively, to change the narrative around him, league wide. And so we have Darvin's response. We'll bring that to you next.
Locked On Lakers is brought to you by Jace Medical. In the last few years with the pandemic, various natural disasters, other unforeseen emergencies have taught us anything, it's that we should expect the unexpected. Everyone should feel empowered to care for themselves, for their loved ones when it feels like the world has gone sideways. And that's why Jace Medical offers the Jace case. The Jace case provides you 5 life-saving antibiotics for emergency use, gives you peace of mind so that you're not just hoping you have access to medication in an emergency. Jace Medical makes sure you have that medication in hand. Jace Medical is really simple. They handle everything from the online evaluation, which I've done, Brian's done. It's really simple, fast. The licensed medication, licensed pharmacy medication delivery, and ongoing consultation care, all provided by Jace Medical. Don't get caught unprepared. And you can save more than $360 by getting these life-saving antibiotics with Jace Medical, plus an additional $20 off using the code Locked On at the checkout on jacemedical.com. That's JASE medical.com, promo code Locked On.
So we've spent a lot of time talking about Christian Wood and how he has looked offensively over these first couple preseason games. It is tricky to see what people are doing defensively, hard to know what the schemes are, lots of different floor combinations and so on. But obviously defense, Andy, is a huge part of what is going to allow Wood to play, I think, the amount of minutes that he wants, but also really maximize his potential impact with the Lakers, because he can't score if he's not in the game, and he's not going to be able to play if he doesn't play defense. So you talked to Darvin Tuesday about Wood, particularly on the defensive end. It was an interesting exchange.
Yeah, in particular, too, just to set this up, I wanted to carry forward the conversation we had in Tuesday's show, where I thought you raised an interesting point, just the idea that Christian Wood playing with, I looked back at some of his past rosters, this is the most amount of established scorers, certainly on a team with any real purpose or like realistic goals, that he's ever been a part of. So, you raise that idea of, does it make it harder? So I asked Darvin about that.
Christian's always been a scorer, and to the best of my recollection, this is the most amount of scorers he's ever been on a team with.
Right.
Does that create a challenge for you at all in terms of trying to find his spots or carving out his role?
I think it happens organically. Like I said, we have a group of unselfish guys who understand who he is and who he's been, his time in the league and what he's capable of, and they want to see him, be himself. But, at the same token, like, he knows he has to come in and improve different parts of his game, and something he and I talked about as we were in the process of signing him. And once he got here, just to focus, I told him, set that goal for yourself to prove people wrong about you on the defensive side of the ball. And the fact that he doesn't have to save his energy to do all the scoring for his team, or most of a bulk of the scoring, it allows him, it frees him up energy-wise to do more things on the defensive end. And I think thus far it's been great.
Where are the areas that you think he's more capable of than maybe he's shown on a regular basis?
Just his activity. We're a big team. We're a team that's big on shifts and activity off the ball. His awareness, his ability to get to the rim, block shots, switch out on smaller players, get down in the stands, move his feet. Just those two things alone, I think, he will help our team and help himself.
First of all, I thought it was interesting, just the idea of helping himself, and Darvin really being pretty straightforward about the idea of, this is the guy's perception, and these are the knocks on Christian Wood. And if he wants to have the type of career that he envisions for himself, whether in status, whether another big contract, whatever, he's going to have to do more than score, because he's a talented scorer, but he's not seen as somebody that is such a good scorer that you can build an entire team around him. So he's got to show that he can do more than just put the ball in the basket.
And I think that is, this is the opportunity, because as we've said, like, if he can't do it here, teams are going to look at him and say, what do we need him for? If he can't contribute to a good team doesn't want him. He's 28 years old, so if he can't do it here, bad teams are gonna be like, it was too old to really offer us, much of anything there. I thought it was interesting that Darvin focused on activity. It's really putting out and under like that goes with that sort of understanding, a little bit of that desperation of like realize where you are in your career and what's in front of you, and more importantly, what will happen if you can't. There's a lot in there, about things happening organically and finding, but it requires a certain amount of maturity, self motivation, self actualization, if that's the right word. That whatever you need a real sense of yourself and your role and your place and and all of that, which if you listen to other people who have been around Wood and covered him, has been something in his game that he's lacked. But LeBron, we're going to get into this GM survey in a few minutes here. Voted number one leader in the NBA. Like the infrastructure between Darvin Ham, who is a great motivator of players and a great connector to players, and guys on the floor like LeBron, like Anthony Davis as a model and a leader defensively. Like if you can't play defense next to Anthony Davis, you probably can't play it next to anybody.
Well, if nothing else, the problem's you. I mean, I'm willing to go out on a limb that if Christian Wood struggles defensively alongside Anthony Davis, the problem will not be Anthony Davis.
It seems unlikely, doesn't it?
I don't, you know what? I don't need to see the games. I don't need to watch them to make that diagnosis ahead of time. To Christian Wood's credit, though, I thought his general activity level was much better in Tuesday night or Monday night's game than what we saw in the season opener against Golden State, where we both thought he looked slow in general, slow to react, just kind of sluggish, period.
Yeah.
I thought he was much better in the second game. I also thought I couldn't help but also think about the contrast with like a Christian Wood versus Torian Prince, who is all hustle, all energy, all leaning into the idea of I have a very specific role, and it is not often going to be scoring, in large quantity. I'll be asked to take and make outside shots. That is, as Torian put it today during practice, his occupation. The way he phrased it, which I loved.
I love that. Yeah.
I love that. But, Darvin praised Torian today just as a guy that he said you don't have to coddle in any way. And, this question of who the fifth starter is, which Darvin claims he knows who will be, but he's not saying. I asked Torian, who
could be me. Might be me. I'm holding out hope.
Could be. You never know.
We don't know until it's confirmed that it's not.
They do have that 15th spot open.
It's open.
Yeah.
I'm available for a minimum. It's important to know.
They give you more than a 10-day. Rob Pelinka is goddamn.
It does take some of the shine off of his off season.
Either that or he feels like he can do no wrong after the way he turned around last season.
I am wondering why Jesse Buss was watching me podcast yesterday.
But I asked Prince during practice just about starting versus coming off the bench, and I thought his response was interesting.
That fifth starting spot is still unknown, at least to us.
Yeah.
You're one of the names that have come up possibly for it. How much, just from a comfort standpoint, does it matter to you starting or coming off the bench?
I mean, I'm ready for whatever. I've started my first 3-4 years in the league. Went to a bench role, and then I've started throughout last few seasons for every team I've been on, multiple games. I think I have a high winning record in those starts, so just whatever's best for the team in general. If it's coming off the bench, my occupation doesn't change.
His occupation doesn't change, Brian.
I love that answer because the answer is I think I should start.
Yes, it is. It absolutely 100% is.
Absolutely think I should start. But if they tell me I'm not going to start, I'm not going to.
I got the sense that Torian is genuinely okay with the idea of not starting. However,
but if you're asking me, and you did, I think I should start.
If he is anyway part of the committee, I know which way he's voting.
But that's the correct answer. That's what you want. All these guys. Hachimura's answer about like, do you want to start? I don't care if I start, but I want to play a lot of minutes and I want to finish. Mm-hmm. Okay, well, that's a different set of demands, like that. But like all of these guys believe in what they want. But I think your point here, before we get to the GM thing, is that contrast between Prince, who by the way was 12th pick in the draft. It's not like he was, but he has established himself as a role player in the league. He's not going to be a star or whatever it is. Like, he's not somebody who had to like grind his way into the NBA like Pat Bev did. He was, again, a lottery pick. But when you are around players like that who are very much now accepting of roles and understand what it means to do that and all of those things, I think that can be a great role model for Wood. Not that his role will look the same as Torian Prince's, because it won't, but that mindset. And I mean, I don't know Christian Wood from Adam. I've never met the guy. I've never spoken to him. I'm not rooting against him. I'm interested in fact. I want Cam Reddish to prove me wrong. I want all of these guys to play well. But I just, that's the challenge that's in front of him. I think, that contrast you point out with Prince is a really good one. The NBA GMs, Andy, have voted, and they voted on some interesting stuff about the Lakers and LeBron and Anthony Davis, and we'll tell you about it next.
Locked on Lakers is brought to you by FanDuel, and you can get hyped, celebrate this NFL season with incredible offers from FanDuel, America's #1 sportsbook. Right now, new customers can bet just $5, $5, and you get $200 back in bonus bets, guaranteed. You can use those bonus bets on spreads, player props, over-unders, futures, all sorts of fun stuff. And all customers who bet, again, just $5, you get $100 off NFL Sunday Ticket from YouTube and YouTube TV. And this is the best time to join FanDuel. The app's really easy to use, fun experience, all those different options right at your fingertips. And there are NBA props you can bet on. Opening night, as of this recording, the Lakers are 5.5-point dogs on the road against the Denver Nuggets and chatty Mike Malone. LeBron is a 50-1 bet to win MVP. Anthony Davis, 30-1 for that same. So visit FanDuel.com/locked-on and enjoy this NFL season with an offer you don't want to miss. FanDuel, official partner of the NFL.
All right, so every year, Andy, the NBA does this. It is the annual GM survey. It always is a lot of fun to look at. And
shout out to John Schumann, who does it every year.
There's always fun stuff to pick out, particularly when the Lakers are good. 3 or 4 things jumped out to me. I know we both settled on one big one, though, that was like neon blinking, red light district in Amsterdam, bright kind of stuff. Anthony Davis still not getting a lot of love on the defensive end. He didn't get a lot last year, which was like, oh, it's injuries, whatever. But did people not see the playoffs last year? Still not getting a lot of love this year.
No, not really. I mean, this isn't one of those, if you don't finish first, the whole world is disrespecting you. Like, this is legitimate. Like, guys, are you familiar with Anthony Davis's work? Okay, for example, best defensive player, just overall. Giannis finishes first with 40% of the GM vote, followed by Drew Holiday, Draymond Green, Marcus Smart, Jaren Jackson Jr. By the way, talk about a fall for the reigning defensive player of the year. Advice to all NBA players out there, don't go to Team USA and underwhelm. Kawhi Leonard, who plays every 7th game, got 7%. Then also receiving votes, Alex Caruso, Anthony Davis, Lou Dort, and Rudy Gobert. Okay, let's start getting more specific, Brian, with some of these categories. Best interior defense. Certainly Anthony Davis would be one of the best there. Jaren Jackson Jr. tops at 30%. Then Rudy Gobert and Brook Lopez at 17%. Anthony Davis and Draymond Green tied at 13%. Giannis Antetokounmpo, 7%. Evan Mobley, 3%. I guess, again, the work AD did guarding the lane in the playoffs, not showing up. Okay, most versatile defender. Certainly Anthony Davis has got to be representing there. I mean, there's nothing the guy can't do defensively.
He's a Swiss Army knife, Andy.
Yes. Number one, Giannis, 37%. Number two, Draymond Green, 23%. Then Bam, Adebayo, 13%. Mikal Bridges, 7%. Jaren Jackson Jr., 7%. Also receiving votes, Dylan Brooks, Paul George, Aaron Gordon, Marcus Smart. Anthony Davis did not come up there at all.
Not even, again, like, okay, if one of these guys more versatile, fine, but not nary a person thought like maybe this guy who we've seen the clips of him, like, blocking a shot inside and then contesting a 3-pointer like on the same possession. Like, maybe I don't
want to get super homer on this, but like, I find it legitimately shocking.
There are we're not afraid to be critical of Anthony Davis. We're not afraid to say your talent level speaks to the ability to do more consistently than perhaps you have at different times in your Lakers career. I think I've definitely tried to like really catch myself and be like, making sure that when I do that stuff, I am always reminding others and myself to put the context out there. We're talking about a top 5, 10, whatever at worst player in the league. And it's because he is so, but like, I makes me really think that some of the stuff we talked about where there is this thing about how people talk about, think about Anthony Davis that just discounts how good he is at the stuff he does. That because he's not that all the time, because he feels like it comes and goes, or he's just going to get hurt or whatever it might be, that he just doesn't get that level of respect. And you're right. We are not one of these homer, like, oh, my guy got dissed. And like, I hate that stuff. I don't care. But like, this is genuinely confusing to me.
Yeah.
I'm talking about Austin Reeves, who I think is like a really underrated defender and up and coming. Anthony freaking Davis is, again, did anybody watch the playoffs last year?
He was the best defender in the playoffs by a pretty wide margin. I mean, like, that's something that is pretty universally agreed upon. Like, in the grand scheme of things, this doesn't matter. I'm angry for him. Like, I can understand why he'd be annoyed. I'm annoyed on his behalf. Yeah, I mean, if he wants to find something as a motivating factor, that should legitimately bother him.
It bothers me. Yeah, it bothers me as a future teammate of Anthony Davis. Yeah, as we discussed. Let's hold a few things. There are a bunch of things that came out of the survey in terms of where the Lakers would be expected to finish, and a bunch of other things. So, I know the Lakers are playing tonight against Sacramento in Anaheim. But we can
LeBron, by the way, will not be playing in that game. Should have let people know at the top.
Yes,
Darvin said during practice he will not be playing. Still no definitive word, at least during practice, about the availability of Jared Vanderbilt or Cam Reddish.
Yeah, no surprise LeBron isn't going to play. But so we'll talk more about some of the interesting results from the survey. But there is one other, talk about motivating things that will annoy players on the Lakers based on the survey. LeBron James perennially finishes at or near the top of the highest basketball IQ part of the survey from the NBA GMs. He did not this year, behind Nikola Jokic.
Yes. 50% for Nikola Jokic. LeBron still repping reasonably well at 33%. Chris Paul at 10%. Others getting votes, Steph and Luka. Like, LeBron fell in the best small forward. He didn't get any votes this year for best power forward
because he's a power forward. But I'm kidding.
He's been in both. If anything, you would think he'd do higher in power forward than small forward. He actually did better this year in small than power, which again, it's starting to just lend credence to our idea that none of these GMs are watching anything.
Yeah, but also too, it's like sneaky. There are so many really good power forwards in the NBA now.
Sure. And also, I mean, this is not, I think this is actually fair. best center has turned into a one-man race and is being it's being competed in and won by Jokic. He got 93%. He dwarfed the reigning MVP Joel Embiid.
Anthony Davis also was got an also receiving votes for best center.
Yeah, that is
he and Joel Embiid but
that is honestly about as well as you're going to do for center. But
yeah,
like I bet LeBron can accept the idea of not being seen, best small forward, power forward, falling in those. He's getting older. Like even LeBron has acknowledged that age is catching up to him to some degree.
Sure.
Falling in best basketball mind, that'll piss him off.
Mm-hmm.
He takes a lot of pride in that.
I expect him to make baskets and then subtweet GMs with diagrams and stuff like that later on.
This will piss him off.
He went from 45% to 33%. Maybe people just think, as he's getting older, your mind starts to go a little bit. Maybe he's just not as sharp as he used to be, Andy. I don't know. But did Jokic get smarter or did LeBron get dumber? I'm not sure.
LeBron does need more help eating his pudding these days.
We'll unpack more of this stuff, but yeah, that of all the LeBron things in there, I agree with you. That stuck out as he's not gonna like that. Locked On Lakers on YouTube is where you can go to hang out, leave questions, leave comments, talk to each other as much as you talk to us. Love to see the community developing. Great back and forth between people. We try to respond as much as possible. So if you've left some comments, check back in. Especially if you direct them towards us, we will always try to respond over the course of a day to the stuff that's in the YouTube section. Reminder, game is tonight in Anaheim against the Kings. No LeBron, but plenty of interesting stuff that we'll be talking about for Thursday's show and more of this GM survey. We'll see everyone tomorrow.